Hi everyone, welcome back to this little tutorial. Today I'm going to crochet coaster stripey and I will make an heptagon. It has 7 pattern repeats and 7 corners. And you can make an hexagon if you want to, or an octagon. Because the pattern repeat is the same for all of these. So the only difference really is the number of stitches that you start with and the number of stitches in the round that you will end up in every round. So for example, I can show you this pattern repeat real quick. In round 6, let's say, you have always 6 stitches per pattern repeat. This is true for every one of these. And so for the hexagon, you will have 6 times 6, and it will give you 36 stitches in total in round 6. For the heptagon, you will have 7 times 6. It will be 42 stitches, and for the octagon you will have 48 stitches because 8 times 6. So yeah, that's why you can immediately customize it to your liking. I will also tell you this again with how many stitches you will start, but this is something you will be able to do anyway on your own, of course, but this is of course a tutorial, so I'm mentioning it. Yeah, and the other thing that is really helpful for me personally, so that I really don't have to count all the time, is where to put the increases. And the increases are always going to, once the pattern is established, always into the second stitch of the increase from the round before. So here in round 3 the pattern will be established. I will put 1 stitch into the first stitch of the increase from the round before, and then the increase will be on the second stitch. And this is all you have to know, really. Yeah. Did I want to mention something else? Yes, I think so. The size will be a little bit different. All of these 3 that you can see here, I have worked them for 12 rounds, and they differ in size because they have, of course, a different number of stitches. The heptagon is slightly bigger than the hexagon, and the octagon is even a little bit bigger or wider and has more circumference. And also they will perform a little bit differently because you will have in the almost same space, let's say, the same very different number of stitches. So for example, the hexagon has in the last round 72 stitches, the heptagon has 84, and the octagon has 96. That's a lot of stitches to fit in, and the size isn't really too different, right? So in almost the same space, more stitches. Why am I saying this? Because it means that if more stitches have to fit into the almost same space, then of course there will happen some curling. The octagon will curl up quite a bit on you, but I have used this one a little bit and I didn't wash it yet, so maybe it will flatten out more, and it did flatten out a little bit just by using it. And the heptagon lies quite flat. It might curl up a little bit towards the end, and the hexagon has a little bit of a concave structure in the beginning, but flattens out after that. So it's really up to you which one you want to crochet. And yeah, I hope that you really enjoy this tutorial, and I will now show you the materials real quick. For this tutorial I have used a 3.5mm hook, a size E. And also what I've used is 100% cotton, mercerized cotton in DK weight. Okay, so now let's begin. So I'm going to start with a magic loop, and I'm pinching the yarn between my fingers like this, and I'm going to wrap around, not too tight, around my thumb like this. And now I'm going to go under one loop and grab a strand of yarn, and then immediately another loop again. So this is what it looks like now. And now I'm going to get it off my finger, and now I'm ready to single crochet into this magic loop. So for the hexagon you will start with 6 stitches. I will start with 7 stitches, and for the octagon, if you choose to make one, you will start with 8 stitches here. Okay, so let's just start. I'm going to make 7, as I said. It's a little bit fiddly, of course. The first 3 rounds really are quite fiddly, I must admit that, because of the stripes and the yarn tails and everything. So I'm going to finish this and then I'll come back. Okay, so now I have my 7 stitches, and I will now close the ring, and I'm going to work a slip stitch into the very first stitch. So if you should be a little bit unsure about which one to work your slip stitch into, you can just count backwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is the stitch I'm going to go into. Sometimes, you know, there can be confusion. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do now. And I'm going to slip stitch, and this is round 1. Now I'm going to drop the old color, and I'm grabbing my new color, and I'm going to pull up a loop through the existing loop, and I'm going to tighten this loop that is so loose right now by pulling on the right tail. So, and now, and this is really a little bit fiddly, as I said before, I think. I had a few outtakes already. So, and now the tricky part is a little bit always the first stitch in which we have slip stitched into. So now in every stitch work 2 single crochet. So, and sometimes I'm weaving in the yarn tail already from the new color, but I sometimes forget. So 2 stitches into every stitch. And I will show you this in a moment. So this is what it looks like right now. I'm going to finish this round and then I'll be back. So this is what it looks like right now. I have 14 stitches in total for round 2 now, and if you make an hexagon you should have 12, and for the octagon you should have 16 stitches now. So I'm at the end of the round, and I'm going to slip stitch into the very first stitch again, like this. So I'm sometimes working the first stitch a little bit too tight, and then things happen with splitting yarns and everything. But I will try to ignore it this time. I don't want to have an outtake again. So now I'm going to bring the old color to the right, and I'm grabbing the new color, which is the yellow, from underneath. This is kind of inspired by the intarsia technique in knitting. And now I'm going to pull up a loop through the loop again. And I'm again going to pull on the old yarn here to tighten things up. And now in round 3, the pattern repeat will be established. So I will work, I have here my increase from the round before, and I will work 1 single crochet into the very first stitch of the round, which is always a little bit tight, and then I will work 2 single crochet into the second stitch of the increase from the round before. And that's the pattern repeat for round 3. 1 single crochet and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch, and then again 1 single crochet, and then again 2 single crochet into the next stitch. And we can see there is a little bit of corners forming here already, and I feel like this is really cute. Yeah, I will finish this round and then I'll be back for the next one. Okay, so now after round 3, for the hexagon you will have 18 stitches in total. For the heptagon I have 21, and for the octagon you will have 24. And now I'm going to slip stitch into the very first stitch again, just as we did before. And I'm going to bring my old color to the right, and I will grab the new color, and I will grab the right tail, the working yarn, from underneath. And what will happen is there will happen, I can show you this real quick, you will have a little braid forming like this. So I think this looks cute. And now let's continue. I will pull up a loop again, and I will tighten the old loop again. And now in round 4 you will work 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and here from here on it can be a little bit, sometimes you could split the I don't know what it's called, the thread, what is it called? I forgot. Again. Okay, so maybe I'm a little bit nervous. Then a single crochet again. So this was already the first stitch of the increase from the round before. I put 1 single crochet into that, and now we are at the second stitch of the increase from the round before, and we are going to single crochet 2 into it. The pattern repeat is 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch of the increase from the round before. I'm going to finish this round off camera, and I think you can make the next rounds yourself, and I will meet you back in the second to last round, I think. The only thing that I wanted to mention at this point is I'm doing usually 12 rounds, but sometimes I choose to make 11 only, as I did here, because sometimes I would like to have the last color the same as the first color. In this case you will have to crochet an odd number of rounds, and if you choose to work 12, no, this is also 11. Let's see. Yeah, if you should choose to work an even number of rounds, as in, for example 10 or 12, but 10 might be not enough. For the octagon it will be enough, but for the hexagon it probably won't. So for the hexagon I would recommend to work 12 rounds in this case. So here in this example you will end with the other color that you started with. Okay, so I think that was it, and I will meet you back in the second to last round. So I'm at the end of round 11, which is the second to last round for me here. I will have 12 in total, and I'm on my last stitch, and I have already cut the yarn because I sometimes forget to cut it because I'm so used to just changing the colors, and in this case I really want to crochet over the tail a little bit. yeah, so now I'm going to grab the other color as usual, and I'm going to tighten the old color, and now I'm going to just crochet my last round and weave in the tail for the first couple of stitches, just so that things get a little bit easier when I have to weave in the tails afterwards. So I will meet you back at the end of round 12 when I'm finished, and I will show you how I'm finishing off and maybe some yarn tail hiding. Okay. So now I'm at the very end, and I will not slip stitch this time because for this coaster I'm always using the invisible joint. So I'm going to cut my yarn and I'm going to pull out the yarn tail, and there is a gap here now. And then I'm going to use my is this a tapestry needle? Or is this just a, let's just say tapestry needle. I think it's called differently. Okay, so I'm going to go and here in this case it doesn't really matter in which stitch you go. You could also just go into the first stitch under both legs of the V. I sometimes am doing this, but let's do it the normal way, because usually you will duplicate the first stitch so that your stitch count stays the same, but here in this last round it really doesn't matter. Or should I go into the first one? I haven't done this in a while, so yes, maybe I should go into the first stitch. Let's see, so that we can see what it looks like, because it doesn't matter if I create a new stitch here now. As I said, because I'm not planning on doing anything else with this. This will be a coaster forever. So yes, so now I have created an extra stitch, but it will not really be, I think, visible or something like that. And it's sometimes neater to do it like this. That's the reason why I'm doing it like this. And now all that's left is weaving in the yarn tails. So very carefully not to make this stitch too small. I will just go under the back side of the stitch a little bit. And then I'm tugging a little bit on the fabric, and then I'm going again in the other direction. And this is, of course, sometimes it's neater, sometimes it's not as neat. It depends on, I don't know, on my, I forgot the word again, on how I'm feeling maybe, or on whatever. So sometimes they are almost invisible, really. Yeah, and I very often change the needle to a pointy one, because it's a little bit easier to pierce the stitches. And here I'll go a little bit down to the yellow part, and then I'll just weave it in the other direction, because this one is already woven in a little bit and it looks so much neater than this. Oops, ow. Now I pierced myself almost. Okay, so and then, because now this is already enough, usually because these stitches are quite firm, so you don't have to necessarily weave them in a lot of times back and forth. So one back and one forth and one back. So in the past I used to crochet this very first tail really into these stitches here. I can try to do it, but it's really very hard to get in, even with the pointy needle. Let's do it for a couple of stitches. And then I'll go a little bit more, or I did it like that in the past. Usually what I do nowadays, and then of course, and that's the thing, look at what I did here now. Ah, no, okay, it's neat. Ah, it's quite neat still. So I usually went back here again. I'm not going to do this now because it's really already quite firm, and I will just show you what I'm doing nowadays. I'll go down under this strand and I'll go up to the yellow part here, and then I'll go back here. Sometimes I immediately go up and also back and forth in the yellow part that is a little bit above here. So yeah, maybe I'll go one back more, because the first one with the magic loop, this has to be really secure, and I hope I didn't do anything. No, I think this looks okay. Okay, so I think yeah, I will weave these in, and that was it. I will show you really quickly, just as an explanation, a little variation of this coaster, and then we're done. So there is a little variation of this coaster, and it has to do with the increases, where the increases are placed. Here, this is the way that I showed you, and what you can see is the beginning of a round is just a little bit visible, not too much. The corners are a little bit less round than here. In the variation, you have quite a visible beginning of the round, quite bulky, but the corners are just a little bit rounder. And why could this be a good thing? Because the finishing off is easier, just a little bit, and it's also very often a little bit neater. Here you can see the finishing off is really very neat. And here, of course, yeah, it's more visible a little bit, and this happens quite often to me. That's why I will quickly address this. So here I have the pattern repeat again, the way we did it, and now I'm going to just show you what type of pattern repeat the other one is. So I have here one stitch in round 1 again, and also these 2 rounds are exactly the same. The first 2 rounds are exactly the same for the pattern repeat, and now in round 3 you will place your increase not to the second stitch, but into the first stitch every time. So you will have your increase and then 1 single crochet. Again, in the round 4, the same thing. You have your first stitch of the increase from the round before. You will place your increase, single crochet, single crochet. So the only difference is really that you will place your increase into the first stitch. And it might be a little bit uncomfortable because you have your slip stitch in there, then you have another stitch and then another stitch. But that's really the only thing. And the first rounds, as I said, are a little bit uncomfortable because of all the tails. But other than that, it's also fun. And yeah, so you can choose what you like better. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you really like these coasters as much as I do. I have made really quite a lot for this video. Many of them I made them for this video to figure things out, even though it's just such a simple crochet project. But yeah, and I love to do it. That's a good thing. And yeah, I think that was it. Until next time, bye.